How's it going, everybody? My name is Justin from Canada, essentially. And today I just wanted to share with you a new amplifier that I bought. It is the 1968 Super Reverb. Actually, no, sorry, it's not the 1968. I actually just sold my 1968, and I recently got a 1964 instead, Super Reverb. These amps are super awesome. I personally love vintage gear almost to a default. It's something that can be quite expensive for people who are trying to get into expensive gear. Well, specifically vintage, because in my opinion, vintage is like, it's kind of like it's like a car. You gotta change the oil all the time. So it's the same thing in a way with vintage gear, right? So I think it's really important to kind of do research if you're going to get into vintage gear, and really ask other people who are more experienced than you are. I think it's super important to do that as well. So today, yeah, we have the 1964 Super Reverb. Technically, this amp is pre-CBS. I wanted to do a little review because there are a couple review on YouTube, but there's just nothing that was like mind-boggling. Not to say that my video is going to be more mind-boggling, but yeah, hopefully it can add some value to whatever you're searching for. Again, vintage amps, they're just different built. It's a piece of history. A lot of new amps today have like circuit boards, for instance, and they're awesome. Like, it depends what kind of sound that you're going after. It depends what kind of music you play. There's so many varying facts. So yeah, it really depends what you're looking for. But for me, I had a 1968 Super Reverb. It was pretty cool. Later on, I learned that a lot of like the manufacturing in that year was kind of like, they were basically like trying different things, adding different capacitors, and just like all this kind of like testing. So it really depends on the 1968 that you're gonna get. But for me, I recently just got this. These run for I bought it here in Canada for about $3,000. Definitely a bit pricey. If you are gonna buy one, I would say to get a tech to look at it. What happened with this one was there was a cheap power transformer in there, and yeah, it was just like Japanese made. It wasn't that great, so we ended up putting a Hammond power transformer, which is a really good one. Basically, it is a replica well, Hammond's been around. It's a Canadian company, not Hammond B3. Hammond's been around for I think since the 50s. They're reputable. They've been in trainer amps and all that stuff. So right now, what I'm rocking is I got replacement speakers, which are the Eminence 1058s speakers. Yeah, 1058s, Legend 1058 speakers. I mean, I like them. They're 75 watts each, so they have a lot of power. This amp just came out of my tech. He basically recapped it, and I was doing a lot of research about solid state rectifiers, and yeah, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna try a solid state rectifier instead of a tube rectifier, just because I mean I'm a huge SRV fan. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that's what Stevie Ray Vaughan used to do all the time. And yeah, so basically what we're gonna do is just gonna go through the settings real quick, as we can see over here. I normally leave intensity. I never turn on intensity. That's just a preference. Speed as well. And so reverb, you can see that the numbers are actually out. And that's because, well, it's old amp. So bass, I'm always going to keep to a 3. I mean, these amps are super bassy, so you don't want to go more than 3, I would say, on a bass amp. So middle, I mean, they have this whole thing, right? So they have the whole thing where it's you put your middle, your treble, and your volume to 7, and it's like this magic colored tone. I mean, that is true to a certain extent. It really depends. I've been really trying to kind of, jump around with my middle. Sometimes I'll put it on like 5. Sometimes I'll put it on 8, depending what the setting is. So for now, I'm just going to be putting it on a quick 5. Treble. I mean, these amps are super trebly already. So I just tend to kind of you don't want to overcompensate essentially. So I put these down to I put the treble down to about 5. And volume. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to turn it down to 0. I'm in channel 1 right now of the Super Reverb, as you can see. The bright switch is off. And what I've done is actually I've pulled out V1 and V5 in the tube sockets, so volume 1 and V5. and I've actually replaced V2 with a 12AX, 12AT7, sorry. And basically 12AT7 has a 60 output gain. So basically, it kind of like calms the amp down when you start, driving the tubes a bit more. This is a technique, I mean, you can find online. There's a guy named Nick Servinghi. I think that's his name. I don't know if I said that right or not, so apologies ahead of time. And yeah, so what I'm using right now is, unfortunately, as gear goes, I'm using a Stratocaster. This is American-made Stratocaster. Yeah, I'm just going to do a little bit of playing for you, and you guys can let me know in the comments what you think. So right now, we're going to put the volume on to about 2. So what I like about these amps too is like you can turn it on 2 and then you can turn it on 3 and it just goes up 10% in volume, as opposed to like, if you're looking at new amps, man, you're on 3 and it's already so loud and then you have no playroom at all. So that's something that I've noticed a lot with these amps. All right, I'm going to be going to 3. All right, going to be turning up to 4. And that's just clean. That's just going in clean too as well, right? So now we're at 5. I'm using Elixir strings, by the way. We're going to be going up to 6. All right, and now we're getting a bit into breakup, so we're going to go up to 7. Normally, I won't really push the amp more than 7, especially if I'm going to slap some overdrives on there. So yeah, I'm not going to be going over 7. And you can hear the amp just naturally breaks up. All right, so I'm going to be going to the second position. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching. That's a quick little review of the 1964 Super Reverb. Man, I love this amp. I love jamming with this amp. I love playing it. And yeah, man, if you're going to get one, definitely do your research. Ask for advice. Ask for help. And just be careful when you're starting to walk into vintage gearland. So, cheers.